The presence of sulfate-reducing microbes in oil has grown in concern as their presence has recently been accepted as the leading cause of reservoir souring in flooded oil fields. More specifically, sour oil refers to there being high amounts of sulfur present in oil. Sulfate-reducing microbes specifically are able to convert sulfate into sulfide, which can lead to pipeline corrosion, the formation of toxic gases and fumes, reservoir plugging, acid rain, and/or low pH fogs. This leads to oil and gas companies having to spend billions of dollars towards souring service materials, replacing pipelines, or fixing any damages due to the consequences of sour oil. That's because SRMs lead to an increase in operational safety and operational costs in the petroleum industry. Ways to mitigate their presence are currently being rigorously studied. Hi, my name is Bethany, and I will be discussing how my project on oil souring mitigation methods can be achieved through the use of biocides to inhibit the metabolism of sulfate-reducing microbes. More specifically, my project observes if adding biocides in combination would synergistically increase the efficacy of treatment injections into oil reservoirs on their ability to reduce sulfite levels in oil. Oil souring most commonly occurs during the secondary recovery process, which is a process where water is injected into an underground oil reservoir to extend its production life. However, it is this step that often adds in additional nutrients or even inoculates the reservoirs with new microbes, of which can lead to biogenic souring. So how can we mitigate this biogenic souring? Well, currently, the process of sulfate reduction by sulfate-reducing microbes is a well-documented process, though optimal ways to mitigate these microbes in reservoirs are still unknown. Moreover, research towards understanding a cost-effective and efficacious biocide that works long-term is increasing in popularity. For my project, I tested the efficacy of the biocides benzalkonium chloride, glutaraldehyde, sodium nitroprusside, and nitrate. Biocides are organic chemicals that are commonly used as disinfectants or antiseptics to non-specifically kill a broad spectrum of microbial populations. To test the biocides, I created anoxic upflow sand bioreactors to mimic the flow process of oil wells. Each bioreactor was first inoculated with microbes from Ante Creek oil field from Alberta, Canada. Treatments were then slowly pumped through each bioreactor, and samples were taken periodically from the outlet valve. Chemical analyses of sulfide, sulfate, nitrite, and nitrate concentrations were then determined. So after a year of data collecting, these are my results, which I know looks kind of overwhelming, so I will just be highlighting the key findings from my project. The orange line in each represents the sulfide levels in the control group. The blue lines in each graph represents the change in sulfide levels over time, where a decrease in sulfide indicates a decrease in microbial activity and an increase indicates an increase in activity. And so from these results, my research found that the lowest concentration of nitrate, glutabac, and SMP alone showed to be 340 parts per million, 100, 130, respectively. In addition, when the treatments were removed from all bioreactors, microbial growth was seen to rebound for all except for BAC, where the microbes were incapable of reestablishing themselves in the system. This suggests that BAC has a bactericidal effect, whereas the others just have metabolic inhibitory effects. The treatments were then tested in combination with SMP and showed to produce synergistic effects for nitrate and BAC, where the lower amounts of nitrate and BAC were needed in order to inhibit the growth of the microbes. Specifically, only 170 ppm of nitrate was needed if 15 ppm of SMP was added, which compares to the 340 ppm if nitrate was used alone. And only 25 ppm of BAC was needed if 1.5 ppm of SMP was added. However, SMP in combination with GLUT showed to have antagonistic effects, where GLUT no longer became effective when in the presence of SMP. Thus, this research is significant as it can be used to help oil and gas companies determine which biocides are individually and in combination the best suited and most cost-effective for their oil wells and pipelines. I would like to thank Dr. Lisa Geek, Dr. Gloria Ocapella, and the rest of the Geek Lab for their help and support through my work as an undergraduate researcher.